the Victorious Living Solutions podcast. I'm your host, Nikeya Young, and welcome to season 4. I'm so excited about this season, and we have an amazing guest with us in the studio today. Well, virtually. And that is the lovely Miss Kandice Whitaker. Kandice is the CEO of Alpha and Omega Consulting, and she is the podcast host of the Bail Yourself Out podcast. Welcome, Kandice.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to your audience. I'm looking forward to the conversation today and just chopping it up with you.
All right, girl, let's get into it. So, you guys, I met Kandice at the Lord, don't get me to forgetting the name of this event. It was Ashley Kirkwood. It was back in March, and it was I don't know, it was Black Women Sales Summit. There we go. I was gonna say
I
Speak
didn't
Away the
remember
Cash.
either.
Yeah,
Me
I was like, it was
neither.
Black women, and we were talking about selling stuff, and what was it? Okay, there we go. Black Women Sales Summit. So that was back in March, and I was there. I bumped into another young lady in the airport, and we're chit-chatting. I think we had met in the Facebook group. And we were going to take a Uber together to the hotel. And she was like, "Oh, my accountability partner is here and her luggage got lost. So she was going to come to the airport anyway to pick up her luggage. And she said she can just take us." So I was like, "Okay, praise God." So we hopped in, we got ready. And that's how I met Kandice. We had a lot of time to bond over 90s hip hop and R&B in the car because Atlanta traffic is a whole fool and a half. I think we literally were in the car for like 3 hours
Bruh, it was
just driving.
disrespectful.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Oh, we're almost halfway there after 90 minutes. But yeah, so fun times. And so I'm so excited to be speaking to Kandice. And we're playing around with titles, but basically, we're going to be talking today about thriving in what you do, your job. So we spend a lot of time at work. We spend a great chunk of our adult lives working because bills need to be paid, responsibilities need to be taken care of. But if you do not like what you do, or if your job is stressing you out or gradually sucking the life out of you, then that is the exact opposite of self care. You are going somewhere that is breaking your soul. I know Beyonce said, "You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul."
She
But
did. She said that.
she said that prophetess Beyonce.
Ayabosha.
Ayabasha. She said, "You won't break my soul." And some of y'all are letting your jobs break your soul. So I wanted to talk to Kandice about that and about other things. But before we get into that, Kandice, just tell us a little bit about you, your company, what you do. Who is Kandice Whitaker?
So I want to say so much based on what you just said. Like, I'm dying over here.
Uh-uh.
The first thing is, I don't know that I've ever told you this, but I almost didn't go to the Black Woman Cell thing. Right?
Really?
I almost didn't
What?
go because at that time, I was broken for a lot of
Mhm.
reasons, girl. I had a lot of things going on. My life was life and it was downright disrespectful. And
Wow.
I was like, I wanted to grow my business, right? But
Mhm.
I was already working with another coach. And I was like, well, what am I going to go down there for? It's all
Yeah.
right. I can just miss it. It'll be all right. And when I tell you, I prayed about it and something said pressure away.
Mhm.
And I don't usually talk about this a whole lot because, sometimes when you talk about your spiritual life, people be like, you sound spooky and crazy and weird. But me and JC are tight. I don't keep it spooky and weird. It's just normal. It's a normal part of my life, right? And I realized that going down to Black Women Cell, I met you. I met so many amazing women that I'm still in contact with. The main reason I went down there is because I said there's going to be a lot of Black women. I
Mhm.
have some things on the fire. I know I need a lawyer. When I tell you the first person I met at breakfast was a lawyer.
Look
That's
at
now my
God.
lawyer. This is what I'm saying.
Wow.
And so, one of the main messages that I talk about in my podcast all the time is that there are no wasted experiences in your life.
Mhm.
It might feel like it don't make sense at the time, But as my girl Joyce Meyer says, you live life forward and you understand it looking backwards. And every day that I live, I understand that more and more.
Amen. That's
You
real.
know, I'm living, walking, making money in the abundance of stuff I learned 20 years ago,
Mm,
15 years ago, 10 years ago.
yeah.
And I'm no different than any other person. If you're paying attention, you can use those things. So, how does that relate to my podcast and talking about business and careers and what we do?
Mhm.
So, I love that you said that we spend more time at work than we do at home. Basically, is what you said. Because I say that all the time. I don't think people really get that, right? So, your job can be provision, right?
Mhm,
Can provide, pay for the bills. I've been there, right? But if you are just staying in provision, we paying the bills,
mhm.
you will get to the point where you're talking about your soul being broken.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, God has planted in each of us a unique promise.
Mhm.
You know what your promise is, and it don't feel right when you're not walking in your promise. You can't settle for less. Your spirit won't let you. And so, what I talk about on my podcast is a framework that I came up with, which is what I needed to get copywritten, which is why I needed a lawyer.
Mm,
It's called Bail Yourself Out, and it's a resilience framework. And I believe in order to be able to use those things you learn in your life,
mhm.
you need to be resilient. Well, how do you be resilient? First of all, you believe that change is possible. That's the B. Mm. Right? You accept change as a normal part of the process because nothing goes exactly like you planned the first time, literally nothing.
Nothing.
Literally nothing, right? You inventory your skills and the skills available to you in your network. What can you use? And then you learn. You learn from your mistakes, you learn from your path, but then you also learn from others.
I love it. Love it.
So that's what I talk about on my podcast. And that's how I tell people like, yo, you working in your provision? I have worked in my provision. I have. And I know what it looks like when you got little kids and you need to make sure you make this money. And I even know what it looks like that everybody's proud of you to have this job that you absolutely hate. And they
Mm,
can't understand why you don't like it
yeah. Mhm.
because there is a piece of us. How can I say this? That yearns
Mm,
to walk in what you were created for.
yeah. And you will not have any peace until you do it.
None,
None.
none.
No matter how hard you try, in the back of your mind, it'll still be
Mm,
gnawing at you like, I'm not really doing the thing. Like, yeah.
At the end of the day, when you allow yourself to do the scary thing,
Mm,
to do the unpopular thing, you'll be a better person for it. Why? Well, here's the thing. We all play different roles in our lives, right? I'm Candice. Y'all know I'm a business owner. Great. I got a podcast. Also got children. I'm somebody's cousin. I'm somebody's daughter. All of that, right? When you're not happy, you show up in all those roles differently.
yeah, for real.
It's not just you that you're affecting.
Mhm.
I'm a person who's a history person, right? I love history. I'm a bit of a history nerd, and it's kind of weird.
Mm,
Um, I have two grandmothers, or I should say, had two grandmothers. I'll see you when I get there. One was American, my father's Black American, and my other grandmother's Jamaican, right? They
mm,
were born in the same year, a month apart, and they died the same year, a month apart. That was really weird, but that's just the way it happened.
wow.
God needed those two women for me to be who I am. My grandmother, who was born and raised in New York, right? She graduated valedictorian of her class. But because she was a Black woman in 1950, whatever, graduating high school, she went and cleaned people's houses when she wanted to be a scientist.
Mm,
My other grandmother born in Jamaica, but she wanted to have a better life. So what did she do? She did what she had to do to get her family, her 6 kids here.
Mm,
She was a teacher in Jamaica. She came here and was people's nanny and cleaned their houses.
mm.
So certainly because of them, I don't there's not a day that goes by in my life that I don't think about that. And I know that I'm not the only story like that.
Yeah.
I owe it to them. I can't settle
Mm.
because for the same reason they had to clean people's houses, at least the laws are in place. I'm the first generation born in this country with my rights intact,
Mm,
that
yeah.
they can't discriminate against me on paper. I
Yeah.
owe it to them. So, that's my catalyst. I don't want to be happy and I don't want to disappoint everybody else that I'm seeing on a daily basis, but also those people who have gone before me. It is so important that I live a fulfilling and good life. I mean, think about us. Anybody
Yeah.
who's born after 1965, you were born after the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah.
You were the first generation born with your rights intact. What are you going to do with your rights?
Literally. We owe it to our ancestors to thrive.
Exactly. It's like, could you please use that same energy that you use when weed is legalized? Like, seriously. Like, nah, for real. Like, I'm so sick of it. Like, and whatever. The smoking thing, that's not even the conversation, but it's like the energy behind that. Y'all use that same energy to vote. Use that same energy to make your life better.
That part. That part. Now, I was listening to you and I wanted to ask you, and first of all, kudos to you for all of that because that's the mindset we have to have. Was there ever a time in your life when you were working up to that realization, but you hadn't quite arrived just yet and you were just stuck? Like, this is not what I want to do. It pays good money, but this is not what I want to do. And how do I get out of here? Can you tell us about a time like that?
Yeah, actually, you asked a great question. I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but I'll tell you the story. So, 25-year-old Candace, right? I got my first corporate job and I was a corporate trainer and the job was cool. It was fun. Um, it just, it wasn't for me. I
Mhm.
made good money. My grandmothers was so proud of me. I was their granddaughter that worked at an Ivy League institution. They were so proud of me. And that made me feel good that they were proud of me.
Yeah.
Um, but I wasn't happy. And I just could not settle. And I really, really, really tried. I stayed there for 7 years.
Mm,
For 7 years, and we know that the number 7 is the year of completion.
yeah.
It wasn't that in at the time, that's not what it was. But it was like after 7 years, I had to be released on to the next thing, right? What ended up happening and how I know it well is while I was there, while I was trying to settle, I was trying really, really hard. I started getting sick.
Wow.
I was going to the doctor, migraines. I had all these problems. My doctor, point blank, period, told me, sis, listen, you need a new job. There's nothing wrong with you.
Wow. He literally said, "You need a new job."
I promise you, with everything in me, I
Wow.
was trying to settle. He was like, it's the stress.
Mhm.
And my work was not hard. It was just a toxic work environment. It was a terrible place to be.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, all of that aside, that didn't matter. That wasn't my destiny. That was not my promise. That was my provision. Today, I'm in my promise.
Mm.
And
Wow.
the thing of it was, right? I was trying my best because in those days when you're walking from provision to promise, you still have some requirements.
Yeah.
You still got to do hard work. You still got to try your best. You still got to show up and do stuff every single day. And I was doing that. And literally everything I did, it was like, you're too this, you're too
Mm.
loud, you're too this, you're too, and everything that I was too much in that environment for is what I use today, and people love me. It's the same junk.
Oh my
It
god.
wasn't nothing wrong with me, I was just in the wrong place, y'all.
Yeah, but oof. Okay, we're gonna camp out right there for a minute.
That'll preach itself.
That will preach, and that could be a whole podcast in and of itself. You said everything they complained, you're too this, you're too much this, you're too that, that now you are using that thing, those attributes of yourself in your business, and people love it. People love it. I just had to stop and highlight that because, child, who can I relate? And I know some people probably watching or listening have been in an environment, be it at church, be it at school, be it at your job, be it around certain family members or what have you, where people literally try to make you feel like something was inherently wrong with you, that you weren't enough, or that you were too much, or just something. And there could be a lot of reasons why people do that. A lot of times it's insecurities, and you have an attribute or several attributes that they wish they had. And rather than just sit with themselves and work out why they're feeling that way in their mind, they decide to project their insecurities onto you and make you feel bad about your natural state of being, because in their warped mind, putting you down makes them feel better, makes them feel uplifted about themselves. So, good old fashioned jealousy, a lot of times, is just that. But whatever the reason, if you're not 100% secure in who you are and your identity, people will give you the identity that they feel you should have. And that's what I'm hearing. You had a pivotal point where you could have said, oh, they're saying I'm too much. Okay, let me just tone it down. Let me try to change the way I talk, or let me, not, you could have been, and it's just like, how do you not be yourself? That doesn't even make sense, right? But sometimes we try, like, okay, I guess that's the feedback I got. Let me try. Or you can just say, no, y'all can go take a fly and leave. This is who I am. And if it's not working for you, then thank you for letting me know that you're not my audience. Let me go find my people so I can thrive.
That part, anytime I'm in an environment that gives what you're saying,
Yeah.
your two, whatever, we're going to call
Mhm.
those your two environments.
Yeah.
That is an indication that you're not for me.
Yeah.
Jealousy, it could be insecurity. At this point in my life, I don't even care what it is. I
Mm.
don't want to spend time with people and places where I'm not celebrated because I'm too
Yeah.
dope not be celebrated.
Girl,
If you're
yes.
not your number one fan, then don't expect nobody else to be. Point blank, period.
I need a tambourine. Girl, that was a moment. You have to be your own number one fan.
Be
Yes.
your own number one fan. And
Gas yourself
listen,
up.
you're number one fan to an audience of one. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, I told you, it always goes back to me and JC. Like, I'll tell you this story. But actually, before I do that, I mean, you mentioned so many things in your last segment about how people can be jealous or about how
Mm.
they can feel different things about you. Our society gives so many messages,
Yeah.
especially to women of color, about what your place is.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if you're not careful, you'll be marching in step to the beat of that drummer.
Mhm.
And maybe it's my New York attitude, maybe my daddy loved me too much, but I say turn down for what?
Listen.
For
Amen.
what? And I'll tell you this story. A bottle of water, it costs $1, right?
Ooh,
You
I
get
know
a
this one.
bottle of water, it
Yes.
costs $1 pretty much.
Mhm.
But that same bottle of water, if you are at a stadium, expect to spend $5 for it,
5.
or
Should
an
be
airport,
10.
right? But
Yeah.
it's the same bottle of water.
Mhm.
That same $1 grocery store bottle of water, but you could also get water from a hose. So I will say to you, it is not the value of the water. It is not your value that they're speaking to. It is your environment.
Yeah. Amen.
Your environment is everything,
Everything.
absolutely everything. And I think it took me a very long time to really understand that. And that's why I encourage people to be resilient, right? Because the message of resilience, people think when you talk about resilience, they're like, I am who I am and this is it. No, like
Mhm.
that's not what we're talking about. It is not necessarily about being able to withstand life challenges, even though that's part of it, right? Talking about that quiet resilience that pivots and says, you know what? I thought I wanted to be a math major, but you know what? I really like accounting.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a hostile takeover by force.
Right.
You know, it
Mhm.
is that ability to say, a personal example. I have a training business and I also have a coach. I've been working with my coach and we're working on a strategy to grow my business.
Mhm.
And I had to have a come to Jesus with myself because he was asking me very specific questions about, well, who's your audience? Who are you talking to? All those things that
Yeah.
you do when you're
Mhm.
trying to speak to your audience and grow your audience and all that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I had nothing. I had
Mm.
nothing. I was dry. And I was like, why can't I speak to them? And I had to come to Jesus that was because that's not really what you want to do.
Wow. Mm.
That's not really what you want to do. And even me, I'm not perfect. I'm a work in progress. With as much work and as much therapy as I pay for. Praise the Lord, Jesus and therapy,
Yes, ma'am.
right? I'm still working on really paying attention to what I want. What are
Mhm.
the things that give me energy? Because that right there, that's your promise.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the things that give you energy.
And pay
Pay
attention
attention.
to things that suck you dry.
Yes, those are the things you
What
need to stop
drains
doing.
you? Yeah. That's a good
Those
list.
things
Make
stop
a sheet of
doing.
paper, draw a line down the middle. These things give me life. These things suck the life out of me.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because until you pay attention to where your energy leaks are, you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to really fully be creative and
Yeah.
really fully show up as the person that God made you to be.
Mm, that's real.
The other thing of it is, you talked about earlier places and spaces. I'm real funny. I act real light skinned about the places I go. I ain't even gonna hold you.
Like, I'm not gonna hold you, but everybody don't get access to me. Sorry.
No, not
No.
at all. We give wristbands, honey. Yeah,
Listen,
no.
listen.
Because if I don't feel liked, loved, and trusted, why am I here? There's 8 trillion people on the planet. I don't have to spend my time with you.
Yeah.
And not in a nasty way. No,
God
thank
bless
you.
you. Love you.
With
Wish
the
you the
love of the
best.
Lord.
Wish you the
That's it.
absolute best. But
Yeah,
we
but
ain't
no.
gelling. We ain't gelling.
Yeah.
That's just it.
I think that transcends to every part of our lives.
Yeah.
And as a people, and I love Black people. Can I just say that? I love the seasoned diaspora.
Yeah.
Shout out to us, the seasoned diaspora.
Hmm.
And that is why I dedicated my pod to us, right? So we're talking about careers and businesses, how we talk,
Yeah.
how we talk. You know how we talk for us. But like one of the things that frustrates me, and this is not a podcast conversation per se, I had a conversation with my friend recently. Um, because in the regard to talking about businesses, in order to really get where we need to be socioeconomically, I'm talking about the whole community now. We need to be business owners.
Yes. It's not even
Beyond
optional at this point.
right. No shade, but beyond the salon and the barbershop, beyond selling t-shirts and candles you made, business owners.
Mm.
We need people in finance. We need people doing government contracts. We need people doing project management, IT. Those are the spaces that make money, money.
Yeah.
And so the conversation was like, yo, how do we get there?
Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all be on social media like I do. Like I ain't gonna hold you. Like I have a timer, a 1 hour timer on my social media. No, for real. It shuts down after an hour a day because and I probably should lower it because that's even too long. Because it's just too much foolishness. But I'm
Yeah.
like, why is there so much content on relationships?
Mm.
Why is there so much focus on narcissists?
Mm.
Can we put this energy into making money, y'all? Can we make this? Nah, for real. Nah, for
Yeah.
real. Yeah. It incenses me because, okay, I don't know if y'all know this about me. I'm divorced. I'm happily divorced. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I was married for 14 years. Do I date? Oh, if it doesn't waste too much of my time. Here's the thing. Nah, for real, because time is the only thing I'm not getting back.
Hey, yeah.
And people play too much. I ain't got time for the foolishness. I ain't got time for the foolishness. But I promise you what, all these people who are making content videos about relationships and how to do this and how to do that in relationships, if you could use those same skills in your career
Hmm.
and be like a squirrel gathering nuts, okay, I'm working in this provision right here, but this way I want to get over here to promise. Okay, so this provision is going to pay for this certification and this class and this and boom, and then I'm going to move up a little bit. Use them
Yes.
same skills that you are wasting on people's ashy children and make you some money. Stop wasting time. Stop
Oh,
wasting time on people ashy children.
yes. Listen, girl,
You had to drink some soda on that.
girl. And it's not even soda. This is like my little bougie water, my little bougie
Oh,
carbonated water. I ain't gonna put the name because they ain't paid me no money.
I
So
know that's right.
they gotta pay me some money if they want their name mentioned on my show. I'm just saying. But I don't drink soda. I like to like feel like I had some soda though. So I get my little flavored little they used to call it back in the day seltzer water. So
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, I had to take a sip on that one. Y'all wasting too much time with people's ashy sons and daughters. Get
That's
out here and
right.
get to the bag.
Use them same skills to secure a bag. Like
Yeah,
every time I see a video about, no, this junk makes me mad. Sis, when you need to meet a new man online, you need to check the local government, see if he's on the sex offender list. And certainly all of those things are valid, especially if you're bringing a new person around your children. But
yeah,
baby, if you use them private investigator skills to secure a bag,
yeah. And part of a lot of that stuff is like your intuition should never be underestimated.
that part.
Like if you spending money putting together whole dossiers on people, then you already have an unction that you can't really trust them or take them at face value. So
Come
then,
on, unction.
yeah, why are you wasting your time? You already something inside of you is already being like, sis, that ain't it. But let me check one more thing. But let me check one more thing. But let me check one more thing. Girl, get to the bag.
For real.
That's too much
Yeah,
time invested.
and that's exactly my point. Like, honestly, if I gotta turn into Inspector Gadget, you are not worth my time.
Yeah,
In my mind,
yeah,
that's how I am. Because I'm like, yo, if I gotta turn into Inspector Gadget, you obviously don't value what who I am and what I bring to the table. Thus, you don't deserve me. I love you with the love of the Lord. Be great.
listen, and that's just that on that. We had for those of you who are new to the Victorious Living Solutions podcast, we did a whole season 3. Go back and watch all the episodes of season 3. The whole theme of that season was surviving toxic relationships. It was not relationships in the sense of romantic relationships. That was a very small part because most of the toxic relationships that we put up with is toxic family members. is toxic friends that don't mean us any good. I did about 3 different episodes from 3 different angles on toxic workplaces. That's just
Mm.
how much that information was requested. We went from toxic leaders to, just the different aspects of, then I had an HR expert. We did all of it. Just kind of talk about what companies should be doing when they have, toxic apples in the bunch. So last season is for you if you want to fill up on that. But this season we're talking about thriving season. And the reason I brought up the videos from last season is because you kind of have to go through that to get to this season. A lot of times when we're trying to thrive and something is just kind of blocking, something is not gelling, something, it's a mindset shift that has to happen. And a lot of the mind clutter that is keeping us from getting to the season where we can thrive is some toxic relationships. Even just changing your environment, like you mentioned earlier, like putting yourself in the right environment where people are celebrating you, where people aren't trying to make you feel like you're not enough or you're too much or you're too this, you're too that, so you can thrive. Let me ask you this, since you've been in the space of launching Alpha and Omega Consulting, getting into your promise, the things that God has for you to do, what have been, and it's a two-part question, what have been some of your biggest triumphs? And what have been some of your biggest challenges? We'll do that. Triumphs and challenges.
Oh
Or is
goodness.
it too
So
early to
biggest
tell?
well, yeah, well, first of all, okay, got a little stuff going on here. Okay, better. Um, Alpha and Omega Consulting launched in 2021. So
Yeah.
today it is September 2023. So
Yeah.
we're just about 2 years old. Um, Biggest successes so far. We've gotten lots of subcontracting opportunities. We've consistently made money. We got
Awesome.
our first prime contract this year. I'm getting so we do basically 3 different things. So we do consulting and contracting in the corporate space, but then I also do coaching as well.
Okay.
Business coaching and career coaching. So in terms of business coaching and career coaching, I've done a lot of speaking. I spoke at Black is Tech this year. In a
Mm,
couple of weeks, I'm speaking at the Georgia Black Expo. In a couple of weeks after that, I'm speaking at a festival in India. So we got a lot popping off. To
awesome.
God be the glory. I am so super grateful. And I promise you, if you would have told me this time last year, this is what I'd be doing, I would have called you a liar.
Wow.
I'd been like, okay.
Like, should I buy a
So
lottery ticket too?
yeah, like I was doing my subcontracting work. I was chilling.
Hmm.
But let me tell you something. You gotta know this is the biggest thing. This is the biggest thing. When you were talking about thriving,
Yeah.
I laugh and I joke, but I do not play. And one of the things I don't play about with is really understanding and hearing the voice of the Lord.
Yeah. Hmm.
Two things happened this time last year. I was dating a guy that almost married.
Hmm.
We were coming home from a trip, and the Lord said, "That's the last trip y'all going on," in my spirit as I was boarding the plane leaving.
Whoa.
I promise you, I
Oh,
was bawling in the airport because I didn't know what that meant at the time.
right. Like, what? Whoa. That could mean a
Promise
lot of
you.
things.
That was August. September, the Lord said to me, "You gotta stop spending so much time with him. You talking on the phone all the time, doing stuff like," and he didn't even live where I lived. So we was talking on the phone all the time. He was like, "I got stuff I need for you to do that's gonna require your attention." I said, "Okay, Lord." I told him. He didn't step back. It felt like he pushed in when I said that.
Mm,
He started
interesting.
requiring more attention. No,
Mm,
for real. And but I
that's
was like, "I know I hear you, Lord.
seriously. Yeah.
I hear you, Lord, but I'm trying." I told him, "You saw what happened." And I was burnt out because
Yeah.
I was trying to do what the Lord said, but I was trying to keep him happy. I was
Mm,
trying to do what the Lord said, but I was trying to keep him happy. And I said, "Lord, I don't know what to do. This doesn't feel right. Something's not right. If he's not for me, I want you to move him." I promise you by the end of the week that Negro was gone.
Girl, that is one of the most dangerous and effective prayers y'all can pray.
I wasn't
If this is
ready.
not the person you have for me, move them or show me, child.
I wasn't ready. I did not expect it to happen that fast.
That's one of them prayers. It literally within 48 hours of you praying it, God will just lay it all out. Every time I have prayed that prayer in the past, I've been like, "Ooh." Yeah.
Girl, I don't know. I might have PTSD. That might have been the last time. I ain't gonna hold you. I mean, my life changed. My
Yeah.
life changed. But just like he said it,
Hmm.
1 year later, I'm sitting in the promise of what he told me.
Wow. Hmm.
He told me, get ready. I was trying. But
Hmm.
when he said get ready, it was a different level of get ready. So when that happened, when he moved him, he just ghosted me. That's a whole different conversation. I said,
Wow.
Lord, what in the world? What in the world? What in the world, Lord? What in the world? That junk hurt.
Yeah.
I don't like that. You want me to thrive. You want me to be out here encouraging people. I can't even encourage myself. What in the world?
Yeah. Wow.
Lord took me to Psalms. I open it up, Psalms. What? He that dwell in the secret place shall abide under the shadow of the most. I was like, you brought me here? I already know that one. I learned that when I was a kid. Like for real.
Hmm.
No, wait. My right hand. He said abide. He said, what does abide mean? I said, stay.
Hmm.
He said, look it up. Okay, fine. I pulled up Merriam Webster. I looked
Yeah.
up abide. It means wait.
Wow.
That changes the whole thing. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High God shall wait
Right.
under the shadow of the Almighty.
Hmm.
I hear you, Lord. Okay.
Okay. I can't argue with that.
All right. So I'm going to be right here waiting. So, but I will be a liar to anybody who's in that transition period because I've been in that transition period more than once. That was
Yeah.
just the most recent example. I would be a liar if I didn't tell you that there's a grieving process.
Yeah.
There's a grieving process for two things, right? Because as human beings, I think we are creatures of habit.
Hmm.
And especially if you're used to being around a person or a scenario, there's always a certain part of you that's going to be like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Right.
I think that's normal,
Yeah.
right? I think that's normal. Then there's this other part that nobody tells you about. Bible tells you it's going to take you from glory to glory, right?
Yeah.
That's the part they tell us. The part that is not mentioned is you're going to leave some people on the way.
Oh. Yeah.
We ain't even talk about this.
Yeah. We
Tell me
don't
that
talk
ain't
about
true.
the lonely season. You know, it's just like, okay, I done forsook all of these people, and now I'm just out here floating in the middle of the ocean on the life raft by myself. Yeah.
But guess what? You're going to learn to enjoy your own company.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to have a transparent moment. I had to realize for myself that as a person that always grew up in an environment that had a lot of activity, I always worked in an environment that had a lot of activity. When I had kids, I had a house that had a lot of activity. That junk was chaos. So when I had an opportunity to have peace, it felt boring.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, you just helped somebody with that. Ooh, you so comfortable in chaos that peace feels boring. Wow. Wow. So how did you get past that? Cause yeah, you got to get accustomed to what peace even feels like. So you're not like, cause you'll recreate the chaos because chaos feels comfortable. Whew.
I was doing that junk and I didn't
Wow.
realize it. It's
Mm.
a lot of things. It's not a one part thing, right? But first of all, you have to recognize your part in the chaos.
Yeah.
And then you got to, what does the Lord say? You got to choose you this day. No man can serve two masters. You got
Mm.
to pick which one that you're going to be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. It is in peace that you can be creative.
Mm,
It is in peace that you can fulfill your promise.
yeah.
You can choose chaos. That's an option.
But this option is gonna keep you stuck. Yep.
That's not thriving.
Right.
So, as I say, any situation in my life at this point, here's what you're competing against. Me wanting to be home because I like to be home. All my stuff is here.
I'm a
I
homebody
have,
too.
all my stuff is here. It is peaceful. It is calm. It is wonderful. Great amenities. All the food I like to eat is here. But like, in order to get me out to participate in your space, you are competing against the king size bed and the 8 pillows that I do not have to share. You got to be better than this. If you're not, stay home.
Yeah.
I'm being funny. For me, that's my litmus test, kind of for real.
Mm,
Um, but for you, what is it? Because your presence adds value to a space.
mm.
Remember, I said you got to be your number one fan, but you also got to know what you bring into the table.
Yeah.
I bring the razzle dazzle. Wherever I go, I bring the razzle dazzle into the space. That's just who I am. Can't help it. You're going to bring your own thing, right? We should all bring our own things. We are all uniquely crafted by the creator to be whatever we are.
Yeah.
So if you don't ascribe value to what you're bringing into a space, why should anyone else?
And people can tell. I don't know. Y'all, some of y'all might feel like you doing a good job at hiding the fact that you don't really know yourself, but you're not. People can tell. People can spot when you feel insecure, when you're not really quite sure of, you're still kind of finding your way. And predatory people, they're masters at being able to sniff that out and take advantage. Oh, they
That
don't know.
part,
They don't know.
that
Oh,
part,
yeah.
that part, that part. So back to the conversation a little bit about narcissists. You get all of these people doing all of these videos about narcissists, right? And
Mhm.
that in fact is a thing.
Yeah,
But narcissists wouldn't have anybody to play if people really understood their value.
that part.
I don't really care about football, but I've been paying attention to this whole Colorado thing with Deion Sanders. Have you been
Yes.
paying this attention?
Yes.
High key gets on my nerves. They're giving him all the talking points and the crap that we've given Black people since the beginning of this country of when they
Mhm.
know what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
You cocky, you arrogant. They
Mhm.
said that about Martin Luther King.
Oh, you uppity. Oh,
Uppity Negroes. Like, we
oh.
still got the same talking points,
Yeah. How are we doing this in 2023 still?
but we are
Yeah.
hidden in plain sight. But I like the way he approached the situation. He was like, fine, okay, say what you got to say, but this is the worst I'm going to be right now. I like your style, bruh. I don't even care about football, but I like your style.
Yeah. Pretty much. Let's close out with what's next for you and how people can work with you.
Absolutely. So, what is next for me? The
Besides
way
all this
this
fun traveling that you got coming
girl,
up. I love it.
the way this year has been, I don't really know what's next for me, but I tell you this, I know that I will continue to take steps in the way of my promise. And what that looks like is teaching and educating people on how to be their best selves and live the life that they were meant to live, whatever that looks like.
Love it.
So, how can you get me? There's a lot of ways you can get me. Well, first of all, I'm Candice with a K, Candice, Kandice, with a K on all socials. If you want to check out my podcast, that is the Bail Yourself Out podcast. Um, New season is coming out in December 2023.
Yay.
And yes, it is the Bail Yourself Out pod on all socials. You can see me acting a fool on TikTok or Instagram or all those kinds of things. And we talk about how to use those tenets of the Bail Yourself Out framework to in your life to be able to live the life that you want. There is no one script, there is no one way to go about it. And if I have any advice to give anybody who's listening is do it afraid.
Yes. I love it. Do it afraid, she said. And wait till you ain't scared no more. You just gonna be waiting and you ain't
You
gonna
ain't
never
gonna do it. Do
the
it
devil will
afraid.
make sure you don't do anything. He will make sure. Yeah. So I love it. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Candice. This has been fun. I'm gonna have you back on here. I hope that you guys got the same things that I got from just being around her. She's a fun, effervescent fireball, spunky. I love it, and that you all were encouraged to thrive and live your best life and to pursue what God has placed in your heart and not to sell yourself short for the thing that looks like the thing but isn't fulfilling you. So I hope that we gave you a lot to chew on. Please follow Candice on all platforms. Go subscribe to her podcast, support her business, work with her. And that's it. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Victorious Living Solutions podcast. Again, I'm your host, Nikeya Young. Keep living victoriously. Bye, everybody.